Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and this Bitcoin indicator is telling us another massive move is coming sometime soon for Bitcoin. So I'll be talking about that in just a moment, alongside the stock market, which has experienced a slight pullback today, which is why crypto prices have pulled back today as well. And later in this video, I'll be giving you a quick update on this descending triangle pattern that Ethereum is still forming, which will be important to pay attention to. So definitely stick around. First of all, starting off on the 2-day Bitcoin chart, and obviously we still have this active bullish divergence in play. If you want to know more information about this, check out my last video on the channel. And the same can be said about this fractal on the daily time frame for Bitcoin, which is still playing out. And I first covered this fractal right down here, as you can see in this video that I posted nearly a week ago. The price of Bitcoin was sitting at around 28,000, and due to this fractal, we've predicted a move to the upside and now a move to the downside. And if this fractal simply continues to play out like what it has been doing over the past 1 week or so as I've been covering it, then technically speaking, it does suggest some more downside price action, possibly within the next 1 week or so. But overall, mostly choppy sideways price action within the next 1 month or so before potentially experiencing a bit more of a bullish recovery. And I want to make it clear that even though this fractal has been very accurate so far, I am not relying on it to be 100% accurate, because that is not a fair expectation. Instead, I'm using this fractal as kind of like a guide alongside my other analysis to see if things line up. And you can see why this is the case, especially when you zoom into the 4-hour chart looking at the same fractal. You can obviously see that it's not 100% accurate. We don't go to every single touch point along this fractal, but generally speaking, in terms of the downswings and the upswings, this has been pretty accurate so far, which is why I'm still covering it here on the channel. And while we're here on the 4-hour Bitcoin chart, taking a look at this chart right here on the same 4-hour time frame, and just giving you a really quick recap. First of all, we had this bearish divergence, which resulted in more bearish price action, and then we found support along the golden pocket if you're bringing out the Fibonacci retracement tool from this swing low at around 28,000 to this swing high at around 32.4k. And then we came back up towards this line of resistance that I told you about yesterday, coming in at around 30,700. And over the past 1 day, we've obviously gotten a rejection from that line of resistance back down to this level of support at the golden pocket, which is sitting at around 29,500. But if we see a confirmed break below 29,500 with something like a 4-hour candle close, then in that case, I would expect a drop down towards this level of support, the green line. In fact, I'll just take away the Fibonacci levels, as this line of support is coming into play at around 28,500 if we confirm a break below 29,500. And if the price of Bitcoin does end up coming back down towards around 28,500, we could potentially see the 4-hour Bitcoin RSI enter into oversold territories, because it is getting closer. And now zooming out to the daily Bitcoin chart, looking at the Bollinger Bands indicator, which is still in this squeeze formation, which is revealing another massive move coming sometime soon. And if you've been keeping up to date with my videos over the past 1 week or so, you'll know that I covered this indicator right around here when we did initially enter into this massive squeeze. And just around the corner, within the next 1 to 2 days, we saw quite a volatile movement in the Bitcoin price, but this wasn't the full extent of the volatile move, because we're still seeing a massive squeeze in this Bollinger Band. We did not completely release out of this squeeze like this, for example. And as for the potential size of the next volatile move, according to the squeeze that we're seeing in the Bollinger Bands at the moment, I would expect the Bitcoin price to reach somewhere in the mid $30,000 prices at around 35,000 approximately, or the mid $20,000 prices around 25k approximately, potentially revisiting that original low, which according to that fractal that I just covered could be the more likely scenario. But at the end of the day, it comes down to whether or not we break resistance or support, which is why it's important to pay attention to these two levels that I just mentioned earlier. And it also comes down to what the stock market is doing. And over the past few days in the stock market, we have been seeing a lot of choppy sideways price action. And today specifically, we are sitting in the red. We've seen a bit of a sell-off in the stock market, which is likely one of the main reasons why we have seen a bit of a pullback today in crypto. But for those of you who missed my last video on the channel, definitely check that one out, because I talked about the potential scenario of the stock market having a bit of a relief rally, similar to what we saw during March, and in that case, we could see a bit of a relief rally in crypto. But once again, this is why we need to keep an eye on what the stock market is doing, and that is why I include updates on the stock market every day the stock market is trading in these videos. And now heading into the Ethereum part of this video, this right here is the daily Ethereum to US dollar chart, and obviously we still have this active bullish divergence in play. And right now, at the time of recording this video, the price of Ethereum here on the daily time frame does have the potential to extend this bullish divergence, which could be done by forming a slightly lower low in the price action while maintaining a higher low structure in the daily RSI. Because right now the daily RSI is well and truly in higher lows, while the price action is pretty close to that previous low in terms of the daily candle closes. And something else that is important to mention is the fact that right now we're seeing something very similar to what we saw in the last significant bullish divergence here on the daily time frame for Ethereum. Because back here in this previous bullish divergence that we formed in February and March, after we had already confirmed that bullish divergence with a lower low in the price action and a higher low in the RSI, we saw a decent short-term bounce in the price of Ethereum straight after that bullish divergence, and then we came back down, almost back down towards that second low. And at that stage, it looks like we could potentially extend this bullish divergence by forming a slightly lower low in the price action because we were getting close to that previous low, while the RSI, on the other hand, was well and truly in higher lows, which once again is very similar to what we're seeing at the moment, which is something to at least consider. But when you're taking a look at the shorter term price action here on the 6-hour Ethereum chart, over the past one day, obviously the price of Ethereum has had a little bit lower, closer towards these previous lows, which is sitting at around $1,700 per Ethereum. And what I said in my last video is the fact that Ethereum here on the 6-hour time frame is technically forming this descending triangle pattern, but if we form a higher low, then that would essentially invalidate this descending triangle pattern because a descending triangle is meant to have horizontal lows. So if the price of Ethereum does make its way down closer towards 1700, even if it's a little bit off at around 1710 or 1720, for example, that's basically what we'll need to see in order to further confirm the fact that Ethereum is forming this descending triangle pattern. Because once again, a higher low structure is not a descending triangle pattern. But either way, we still have this line of resistance to pay attention to, which has been confirmed multiple times as strong resistance. And that is coming into play at around 1950 approximately. But if you zoom all the way out to the weekly Ethereum chart, looking at the weekly Ethereum RSI, we are incredibly close to oversold territories, which has only ever happened just one time in Ethereum's entire price history, which was at the bottom of the 2018 bear market. Now, I want to make it clear that we are not in oversold territories just yet, but we are getting very close. And in fact, the end of the 2018 bear market was the only time in Ethereum's history where the RSI has now been lower than what we're sitting at right now. Even during the March 2020 crash, the RSI on the weekly time frame did not go as low as we're sitting at right now. So if we do end up going a little bit lower into oversold territories, that is an extremely rare opportunity that we have only seen just one other time. But right now, according to Ethereum's history, relatively speaking, we're already at some very cheap levels according to the weekly RSI, but there is a little bit more room to the downside, technically speaking. And just to give you a quick update on the Ethereum short positions on the Bitfinex exchange here on the weekly time frame, and you can clearly see right here that over the past few weeks we've seen a lot of Ethereum whales close their short positions. And if you're turning to take a look at the past, these traders on this exchange at least have been very accurate at closing their short positions. Because if you're looking at the first example right here showing a lot of Ethereum short positions closing on the Bitfinex exchange, that was happening mostly during September 2020, just before the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum both skyrocketed. And looking at the next time where we saw a massive amount of Ethereum short positions close here on the Bitfinex exchange, that happened during the second half of May entering into June last year, which was at the bottom of a massive crash that we saw during the first half of May in particular. And not long after we saw a massive amount of Ethereum short positions close on the Bitfinex exchange, within about 1 to 2 months later, we saw a massive pump in both the price of Bitcoin and the price of Ethereum. So seeing this happen again after we have already experienced a lot of bearish price action is very interesting, especially combined with the fact that the weekly Ethereum RSI is very close to oversold territories. This is also something to consider moving forward, the fact that a lot of whales are moving out of their Ethereum short positions on the Bitfinex exchange, which have historically been very accurate. And just giving you a quick update on the Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart here on the daily time frame. And like I said yesterday, we do have a potential bullish divergence forming right here, but this has not been confirmed at the time of recording this video. Because first of all, what we need to see is this daily candle close as a lower low compared to this previous low. And then after that potentially happens, we'll then need to see at least one green daily candle in order to confirm a higher low in the RSI. And if that plays out, then that would confirm this bullish divergence here on the daily time frame for Ethereum versus Bitcoin, which would be good news for Ethereum holders, at least in the shorter term, and potentially good news for altcoin holders as well, because usually Ethereum versus Bitcoin is a pretty good indicator for what a lot of the altcoin market is going to do, because this goes hand in hand with the Bitcoin dominance chart, which conversely is forming a bearish divergence right now. But with that being said, as I mentioned yesterday, when it comes to this bearish divergence of the Bitcoin dominance chart, it could take a while to play out, because in the past, looking at other bearish divergences, for example, what we saw during February this year, we saw this entire bearish divergence forming over the month of February, which took basically an entire month in order to actually play out. So once again, even though we are seeing a bearish divergence form right now in the Bitcoin dominance here on the daily time frame, this could take a while, potentially a few weeks or so, in order to actually play out, and then we could see a bit of a relief in the altcoin market compared to Bitcoin. But overall, in terms of the trend, obviously I'm more bullish for Bitcoin than altcoins at the moment. I'm clearly not bullish on altcoins compared to Bitcoin. As I've been repeating over and over again here on the channel, I've been saying I'm incredibly light on altcoins. And when it comes to my personal investing strategy at the moment, I am dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin and Ethereum, but much heavier into Bitcoin than Ethereum. And if you want to find out more ways to make money in crypto, check out one of these videos popping up right here on your screen, because both of these videos reveal how you can keep making money in crypto even if prices are going down. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.